Hi, I'm Miss Hearn. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to talk about experimental probability. Consider this example. A cup is flipped 100 times. It lands on its side 84 times, on its bottom 6 times, and on its top 10 times. Find the probability that it will land on its top. Well, it appears from the experiment that there are 10 chances out of every 100 that the cup will land on its top. So we could say that the probability of it landing on its top is 10 over 100 or 1/10. This is an example of experimental or empirical probability because it's based on observed phenomenon. In general, we define the empirical probability of an event E to be the number of times event E occurred divided by the number of times the experiment was performed, like flipping the cup 100 times. But here's another example of what would be considered an empirical probability. This comes from the My Math Lab homework from my class. Of the last 60 people who went to the cash register at a department store, 15 had blonde hair, 17 had black hair, 26 had brown hair, and 2 had red hair. Determine the empirical probability that the next person to come to the cash register has red hair. Visiting the cash register is considered the experiment in this case. The experiment is repeated 60 times. The number of customers with red hair was 2. So the experimental probability of red hair is 2 out of 60 or 1/30th. Here's another example of experimental probability. A coin was tossed 50 times, producing the following sequence of outcomes. Calculate the empirical probability of heads being up after 50 tosses. What's the experimental or empirical probability of heads based on this experiment? And do you think that the coin is a fair coin? So typically we'd consider a fair coin to be one in which we have a 50-50 chance of getting heads or tails. So the probability of getting heads on any single flip of the coin is a half. Let's find out what the experimental probability turns out to be for heads. So we're going to count how many times heads occurs in this list, and it turns out that it occurs 24 times. Since 24 out of 50 flips of the coin were heads, the empirical probability of heads is 24 over 50, which reduces to 12 over 25, or in decimal form, if you divide 12 by 25, you get 0.48. So do you think the coin is a fair coin? Remember, the theoretical probability of a fair coin being heads is a half. But a half is 0.5, which is very close to 0.48. So in fact, yes, because 0.48 is very close to a half, it appears that this coin is a fair coin. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. That'll help other students to find the video. In the next video, we'll be talking about the law of large numbers.